Okay, y'all. So I just recently had a follow-up with my rheumatologist actually yesterday. I got my results today for some of the lab work. For those of you guys who've been following me for a bit, you guys know I started weaning off some of my medications and I've bounced back from rheumatoid arthritis. And so it has been about 3 months since I last had my infusions and my other medications I was on for rheumatoid arthritis. And I went and got my rheumatoid factor back, and it came back at 78. Now, by itself, I know you guys are thinking that is still high, but let me tell you where my rheumatoid factor was 10 months ago when I was on all of those meds and my symptoms were still getting worse. I was getting new diagnoses, and I ended up in the hospital because I was so depressed because everything I tried wasn't working, basically. My rheumatoid factor 10 months ago was 700 and something. It was above 700. So 700 and some down to 78 is a pretty big jump. And so for those of you guys who are new here, I've made a video already on my story on how I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And part of that was the rheumatoid factor. When I first got it, about 3 years ago in 2018, it was 282. Okay, 282. So it's even lower now than it was when I was first diagnosed. And that's a pretty big deal. I know that, you know, rheumatoid factor doesn't go up and down the same way with disease control, the same way that like your blood sugar goes up and down like throughout the day. It takes a lot longer. And the way that doctors use these autoantibody type things, whether it's rheumatoid factor or something else in the ANA panel, which I also have a video on, so I'll put a card up for that too, is to see how aggressive the disease is. You know what I'm saying? So people who have a lower amount or who have no autoantibodies tend to have a less aggressive version of rheumatoid arthritis. But let me tell you something. When you make a jump from 282, which was the number when I got first diagnosed in 2018, to 10 months ago, it was 700 and something. That's a pretty big jump. And that says something about how well the meds were working and the disease control was. I don't care what people say, that says something. You know, that's a pretty big jump. And to go from above 700 down to 78 in 10 months, that says something, especially when you combine it with the symptoms that you're feeling or you're not feeling. You know, I got to a point back in November, I had tried different diets, I had tried exercising, I had tried so many things, and either it would work for a little bit and stop, or it wouldn't work at all. And when I was just like, I ran out of ideas because I'm like, I've tried everything. I actually got really deeply depressed. And what I noticed was when I started to take care of my mind again, because of course I needed therapy, nothing wrong with therapy. Okay. This is some stressful shit. I started to notice a shift in not only my mood, obviously, but I also noticed my pain's not as intense now. It's not happening as often. The pain that started to get so bad that it would keep me from falling asleep, when girlfriend is very much used to being able to do my meditations, you know, do all these different relaxation techniques. And it got to a point where like that wasn't enough anymore. And it was because my mindset was just in shambles. Like my mental body, my emotional body was in shambles. And I was so focused on that, because remember, everything is energy, that I was giving all of my energy to that instead of, you know what? I'm able to go and do something today that I wanted to do. You know what? I can get up and move around. You know, there are some people that can't get up and move around. Like that gratitude just got lost and I didn't even realize it. And I noticed when I started focusing on gratitude, because I know what it's like to have racing thoughts and to feel like you can't change them. But if you focus on gratitude and just keep listing things out the wazoo, things that you're grateful for, whether it is just saying what you're grateful for now, whether you put it in a prayer, whether you do it in a meditation, throughout your day, pay attention to how intense your pain is when you're grateful. I've yet to find a time where my pain is worse when I'm in a grateful kind of headspace. And so I noticed, I'm like, okay, well, now I'm emotionally and mentally doing better. Okay, well, now I have enough energy to let's try doing 10 minutes of a gentle exercise. And see, I wanted to go and do, I wanted to do something more hardcore. I know yoga is very, very good. And I didn't want to do it at the time. Qigong, Tai Chi, also very good. Did not want to do it at the time. I wanted to do the hardcore stuff that my body wasn't ready for yet. And so I found me a compromise and started doing chair workouts. Like that's the actual YouTube name, actually, I think, unless they changed it. But it's workouts on YouTube that are free, that are like, it can be anywhere between 10, 20 minutes where you're doing workouts in a chair. Because back at this point, I was still dealing with dysautonomia type stuff, so like I would stand up and my heart rate would go through the roof. My blood pressure would do weird things. I'm dizzy, like it wasn't working. Like I had to sit down at the time in order to get things done. Like I was on blood pressure meds and everything for that. Off that too now, by the way. But when I started to do just 10 minutes, whether it was that, whether it was yoga, whether it was, Tai Chi, whatever it was, I was like, okay, 10 minutes. I'm like, I feel great. And I started my morning with gratitude, which was the mind, that helps rebalance the mind. And then I was able to go and work in something more physical that helped the body. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing even better. And so then by the time I was starting to get more stable in like my mental and my emotional body, right? That energetic part. And then the physical, because that's what I was ready for. Then I was ready to go back into the spiritual, because when you are in a very deep depression, you question everything. Okay. And I was in that space. Okay. So I finally was like, you know what? I'm ready to start leaning into some of these other things, these other modalities that heal. I'm like, you know what? I can go and heal myself. We're not really told that when we go and see the doctor, but it's the truth. You can heal yourself. Now, doesn't mean that you just go and not do anything else with the meds and things like that. There's a time and a place. But I found that really the key for me to go from like 282, 700 and some with my rheumatoid factor down to 78 today, and being able to go and take walks. I have not been able to take walks without being dizzy for a long time. I'm walking and hiking now on a weekly basis. Being able to go and, enjoy life again and not have these debilitating pains all of the time, and have more energy and be able to do things that I want to do. It really came down to self-healing, which came through balance. And so that is one of the things that I really want to like emphasize here. Like, you have the power to heal yourself. Now, again, I'm not saying just toss all the medications. I actually ended up learning a lot about the state of my own body and my own health through muscle testing. Okay. If you're not sure what that is, go and Google muscle testing and read about it, like go and research it, because it's hard to explain. But basically what it is you have your physical body, you have your energetic body, your inner body, and what's called a smart body. So that smart body is how you get those intuitive hits. That is how you hear from your higher power, for example. It is the part of your body that basically is presence and infinite intelligence. So however you would call that, it will basically be your higher power. So it's the part of you that goes beyond the ego, so to speak, and the logic that doesn't always actually make sense. Y'all know, like we all have thought things that really don't make sense, or we believe things that make absolutely no sense, but we believe it anyway, right? Well, this goes above that. And I learned a lot about my health and the different types of pains that I was feeling from doing this muscle testing. So a lot of times I would use it with statements or with yes or no questions, but I highly recommend giving it a shot and see how it works for you if it resonates with you. I learned that some of the pain that I thought was rheumatoid arthritis pain, fibromyalgia pain, a new pain with a diagnosis we don't know yet, some of it was actually just me healing painful memories and painful beliefs and patterns and things that I learned from the world that weren't authentic to me. And I held on to them for years and stored it in my energetic body. And then after a while, it starts to pop up in the physical body as pain and ailments and disease. Now, I can't say that's what's going on for you, but that was definitely what was going on for me. So when I went and did that, instead of just treating the symptoms and the disease with meds, but not going to the energetic root cause of it, for me, I had phenomenal results. And that was actually what I used. Again, I have to technically tell you, talk to your doctor, but I'm gonna be real. That is what I used to go and determine if I needed medication or not. I muscle tested it. Do I really need it? Or is this gonna help me perpetuate the very energies and patterns that are maintaining this disease to begin with? Does that make sense? If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. And if this is confusing, let me know in the comments, because this is really what was the game changer for me. And when I went and looked at other people's stories, for other people who managed to heal the incurable cancers, autoimmune stuff, you know, it really came down to energy. But I know, you know, I knew this for a long time, but it's a whole nother thing when you're like overwhelmed. If you're in that brain fog space, like I was, really bad. It was really, really bad. Like basic stuff is overwhelming really quick, really easily. So if you are at that point right now, you don't even know where to start to try and heal, just pick one thing. Pick one thing that you can do every day, which is why for me, I started out with my mind, because I was in flare land. And so doing something physical or changing the diet was like, oh, he ain't ready for that yet. That was me. That was me, you know. So pick one area, your mind, your body, your spirit, that isn't a habit, something that you can do every day. Do it for 30 days. If you got to break it down further, break it down further, as long as you get through 30 days, because what you're doing is you're building a habit that helps you heal. And see, once it becomes a habit, like me going and being like, oh, yeah, that thought's not helpful. Okay, I have that feeling. Okay, I use this language. Let me go and change that. That had to become a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it's not overwhelming because you do it on autopilot, right? So I really think that considering self-healing and really taking a look at your energies, start out with one you're comfortable with. You know, if you are still real deep in the traumas, because homegirl's also been through trauma and you're not ready to start there, okay, start somewhere else. That's totally fine. Because what happens is when you start to work on one, it has an impact on the others. And then you start to be like, oh, okay, I'm ready to tackle this now. Pretty sure I'm ready. I was not ready before, but now in this present moment, okay, we ready. All right. So I hope this was very helpful. I wanted to share this story to illustrate and show you guys it is totally possible to heal, and that nothing against medications. There is a time and a place for it. I needed those meds when I needed it, you know, but I had much greater results in a much shorter amount of time, because this process really started, I'd say, the beginning of 2021, you know, as far as like this gradual like healing and turnaround. You know, the self-healing was the key that really helped accelerate stuff for me. So if you want more guidance on where to start, I do offer a program, and I have a link in the description box already below. So check that out if that resonates with you guys. I would love to hear in the comments, what did you find helpful? Are you doing self-healing on top of what, you know, your other things that you're doing with your medications? Has it come across your mind? Because in nursing school, we were not taught this. So when I went to talk to my patients, it wasn't on my mind to go and talk to y'all about this as a nurse. So do you think the doctors and all the other practitioners are thinking this too, when we're not really taught? That's why I want to start this conversation. So again, let me know what your thoughts, let me know what has helped you, because when you go and share what helps you, you're going to help the next person who comes along in a future present moment and read your comment and be like, ooh, I can go and do that. So seriously, share your thoughts, share what breakthroughs you had, share what is working for you or what isn't working for you, because by you sharing, you're helping somebody else. I'm telling you, it's powerful stuff. So with that said, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.